Hello everybody, this is Saif. Today I'm gonna walk you through a simple understanding of React and Redux and how they work together. And I would like to start with this slide. What is Redux, or what is Redux offering for us? Um, I would say that after like long reading um, and practicing, I recognize that Redux is just a simple store that components are reading from and writing to. Um, Imagine that an action happened on this component here. The component will create an action, will dispatch it, the store will catch this action, will look at the type of the action, and based on the type of the action, it will update the store values and it will populate that value. So all components will be aware that this thing changed and they will, re-render themselves. Um, it's a nice way of, keep things in sync. As per my preference, I would prefer to stick with the set state in the React component if things are not complicated. But if you feel that things are getting complicated and hairy, it's fine to move to the store, Redux, and do your thing. Um, Usually, the component, when you create an action or when you interact with the component, an action will be created, as we said. Then the action will be dispatched and sent to the reducer. The reducer is the function that update the store state based on the action type. And it sounds like abstract, but I'm gonna walk you through the code in a minute, and I hope that will help you to understand exactly what's going on and how we are creating these actions, dispatch them, and how the reducer doing its thing. And I'd like to break down this process into steps, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. I have this simple application that I created using Create React. Um, and as you can see here, I have the app.js. The app.js here is importing the greeting component. I have nothing yet in this component, so I'll start with simple thing. Let's start with, since we have the greeting here, let's run the greeting and see what's going on here. We go to the greeting has nothing now so far. I was like, I would say hello and look at the application. So sometimes, the comments, it's really hard to deal with the comments. There's a way to deal with the comments in React. So now we have hello in the greeting. What we want to do here now, we're gonna fit, and so if we go here, I already created the store. It is like an empty file right now. What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna start building the store. So what I need in the store, I need to import something called create store. And create store lives in Redux. So we created the store. Now we need to define the state in the store. We're gonna define init state. Init state, create an object, and in this object I would say name equal safe. Let's look back, make sure that we don't have any issues, no issues. We're gonna define a reducer. Reducer is a function. We're gonna call it reducer, and the reducer here will have two parameters. One of them is the state, and we initialize it with the initial state, and we have the action. Now we have, let's start with simple reducer. We're gonna retain the state. Now we're gonna create the store, and here we're gonna create the store. And when we create the store here, we're gonna use the function create store, and we usually gonna pass the reducer, and we're gonna pass the state. Cool. Now we're gonna export the store. So what we have now, we have initial state, we have the reducer function, we created the store, and we export the store. Let's look back here, make sure nothing is broken. Now we have to go to the place where we're gonna use that reducer, or like use that store, and we're gonna import the store. Import store from store. Let's go and keep checking here. So state is not defined. Let's go back to the store here and see what was going on. Okay, I think this should be, in this case, initial state. Let's look back. Cool, so we have this now. Alright, so now we're gonna pass this store to component. So now the component greeting will have access to the store. Let's go back now to the greeting, and now here we have the store now within the greeting. Now what we need to do, we need to map the state to the probs of the greeting. And if you are not familiar with React, I recommend going back and do some reading about React and props. But the props usually is whatever like we pass to the component when we create it. And in this case here, we have the store, and we need to map whatever we have in the state of the store. In this case, it is the name, for example. We're gonna pass that to the greeting. And how are we gonna do that? We're gonna create a function, call it map store to props. And what we have here, we have state for sure, and here we're gonna return the name equal state dot name in this case. Cool. Let's look at this. Nothing is broken yet. And now we need to go back here. This dot props dot name. Let's look at it. Alright, what's going on here? Okay, now what we have to do, we have to connect what we have here. So forgot to add the connector. Connect the store, and what we have to do, we have to import the connect function from, in this case, React Redux. Now we have the connection, we need to do the connect, and this is how you do the connection, and you have to pass this function to the connect. Let's see what happened now. Hello safe. So if we go back to the store and change it to Jack, go back, hello Jack. So now we saw how these things get glued together, and this function usually, like, it's the main function that will glue your component with the store. Let's now do something. We need to interact with this store. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna define a function, call it map. I think it's this patch to props. It can be any name. And here we have this patch, and again we're gonna return a set of functions. In this case, let's say update name, and I'm gonna define this function now. I would say, okay, update name, and in this case, let's say what are we gonna do in this case? We're gonna create an action, insert action, and this action will be an object that has type, and type will be, what are we gonna do in this case? Like, let's say I think this example is kind of confusing. Let's say okay, what I'm gonna update the name to, I'm gonna call it Jack, for example, type Jack, and then I'm gonna say dispatch action. Alright, so what we have now, we have a function here. Alright, and this function is creating an action. The type is Jack, and it's dispatching that that action. Now, what we can do here, we can come back. Now it's called button, and the button, I say on click equal. So say update name. Okay, and here in this case, I'm gonna, since we mapped the function now, I'm gonna call this function update name. Right. So now let's see what's gonna happen. Like, we have this, but nothing is happening. Why is that? Because if we talked about the reducer function here, but we don't have anything in the reducer function, so let's go to the reducer function and start building. So usually what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a switch statement, and in the switch statement we're gonna look at the action.type, and based on the type that I have, case, let's say Jack, I'm gonna return I'm gonna use there is a function I'd like to use here to create a new object of the store, and this is what I'm gonna use in this case. In this case, I have this function in JavaScript that use create a new object and copy whatever in the state to this object and then override this one. In this case, I'm overriding the name, so I'm gonna override the name to be Jack. I'll call him Jack Danny. And in this case, if we look back here, we're gonna see an issue here about expecting default state in this function, and that's expected, so we have to define a default state and return the state in this case. Let's go and look back. Now that's fine. Map dispatch to probs is complaining about something. Let's go back to the greeting here and see. So okay, we didn't pass this function, so we need to pass this function right here, and I probably need to change this. So I have to now map the function here, and now let's go back. So no complaining, Danny. So that's what happened now. So as you can see, guys, let's go back through this. We have a store. The store, we created a store here. We have the initial state is Jack. We have the reducer, and based on the action that we pass to the reducer, the store will be updated. And here we are creating the store and we are exporting it. And in the greeting here, we talked about how to glue this component with React using the connect, and this is how you map whatever the store has into probs, and here you can use these probs using visit probs dot whatever property you care about, and then you create another function called map dispatch to probs, and here you can create how like many, I would say many, like it depends on in your case. For example, I can create another function, I call it remove name or whatever, like depends on your case, whatever the case is, and I can, you know, can create an action, or like you can do whatever you want. So let's say in this case I don't think it's remove names function. Let's say yeah, let's say remove name or delete name, and let's say here, for example, remove. And if we go back here to the store, I can create another case, and I can come back here and say, oh, I want to look at the remove case, and in the remove case I can just retain empty name. Let's look at what's going on here now. We have Jack, Danny, update name. Oh, I did not create the button in the greeting, so let's create another button here and map it, call it clear. Actually clear sounds better than so. And here, let's stick with this for now, and you just call it remove name, just clear name, whatever. So let's go back here. We have clear name, update name, clear name, update name, and you see there's a Redux thing here that's supposed to work. There's a way to make it work. Actually, if you pass this to the reducer function, and I'm gonna pass that to reducer, I'm gonna show you that magic that we're talking about here. Now we have, as you can see, we have the Redux store, and You can look at the state of Redux store. For example, this is the action now. It's initial action because it's just a bit update now. We see the type here. You can look at the state, and you can look at the action. What else? Clear. We created this function called remove chart. It will show you like what's going on. It's a really interesting way to look at your data and whatever is going on the store. So that's my I hope this was helpful for you guys. Please ask me any question about this video. I hope you enjoyed it.